Awaken your spirit, chosen ones. Faith isn't the absence of fear, it's the audacity to step forward when fear screams the loudest. Throughout history, humanity has celebrated the bold and the fearless, yet few realize that the world's most profound shifts were sparked not by the loudest voices, but by the quiet, unwavering courage of those who refused to let fear dictate their next move. Did you know that in moments of extreme uncertainty, studies show the human brain is wired to cling to fear, to choose the path of least resistance, even when opportunity stares boldly in the face? Yet there exists a rare breed, God's chosen ones, who instinctively flip that script, choosing faith when logic begs them to hesitate. These individuals don't act from recklessness. They operate from a place of deep alignment, where vision overrides hesitation and destiny outweighs doubt. Their faith is a beacon, a signal so potent that even influential eyes, those who shape nations, industries, and movements, cannot help but notice. They move quietly, consistently, and when the timing is right, they emerge not as miracles of luck, but as inevitable results of unwavering courage. It's fascinating, almost poetic, that while most spend a lifetime hiding from fear, the chosen few dance with it, tease it, and transform it into momentum. And here's the irony. Sometimes that leap of faith looks reckless to the world, and occasionally even absurd. But the universe has a subtle way of rewarding audacity. Humorously enough, it's often those who once laughed at the risk who later stand applauding the results. Today, we dive into the extraordinary journey of those who chose faith over fear, the invisible signals they send, and how someone powerful, influential, and perhaps unexpected takes notice. This isn't a tale of shortcuts or easy victories. It's a revelation of courage, timing, and the invisible forces that reward those bold enough to act when the rest of the world trembles. By the end, you won't just understand why they were noticed. You'll feel why you, too, are capable of stepping into the arena where faith eclipses fear. Number one, faith becomes your signature, not just a shield. Faith is often spoken about as if it's just something you hold on to during hard times, a comfort blanket against fear and uncertainty. But the truth is far deeper. Faith, when fully embraced, becomes who you are. It shapes the way you move, the decisions you make, and even the energy you give off to the world. It stops being just a shield that protects you from fear and starts being a signature, a mark that announces to the universe and to everyone around you that you operate differently. People don't just notice your faith because you talk about it. They feel it in the way you handle challenges, in the calm certainty of your steps, and in the way you refuse to let fear control your actions. When fear rises, most people shrink, second-guess, and wait for signs or reassurance. Faith doesn't erase fear, but it makes fear irrelevant. It allows you to move forward anyway, to make decisions even when the outcome is uncertain, and to act boldly in ways that most won't dare. That kind of courage is magnetic. It draws attention, not just from friends and mentors, but from people who hold influence, people who recognize the energy of someone willing to risk for a higher purpose. Faith becomes more than a personal tool. It becomes a language that the universe understands, signaling readiness, resilience, and alignment with something greater. The more you operate from faith, the more it defines your identity. Your signature isn't written in pen or paper. It's written in the consistency of your choices, in your ability to rise despite doubt, and in the quiet confidence that what is meant for you will find you. And the incredible thing is that others notice it long before you even recognize it yourself. Faith becomes your unique rhythm, your distinct presence in a world that often rushes blindly from fear. In that space, you are not just surviving. You are standing out, marking yourself as someone who cannot be overlooked, someone whose life whispers the story of courage, purpose, and undeniable destiny. Faith isn't something you carry, it's something you embody, and that embodiment leaves an impression far deeper than words ever could. Number 2, fear feeds the invisible chains. Faith shatters them. Fear is one of the most subtle yet powerful forces in life. It doesn't always roar. Most of the time it whispers, shaping your decisions quietly, making you settle for less than you're capable of. It wraps around your mind like invisible chains, convincing you that hesitation is safety, that comfort is survival, and that stepping forward is reckless. Those chains are so sneaky that people often don't realize they're trapped until they look back and see years slipping away without meaningful progress. Fear convinces you that inaction is protection, but in reality, it's the silent thief of opportunity, growth, and destiny. Faith, on the other hand, is the force that shatters these chains. Choosing faith doesn't mean fear disappears. It means you refuse to let it dictate your next move. Faith is an act of rebellion against hesitation and doubt. It's a declaration that you will not be held hostage by what could go wrong. Every time you step forward despite fear, you chip away at the chains that were meant to hold you back. Over time, those chains weaken until they eventually crumble, leaving space for freedom, purpose, and growth. The contrast between fear and faith is stark. Fear keeps you locked in predictable patterns, playing small because the unknown feels dangerous. Faith pushes you to risk, to trust in something beyond the visible, and to act when logic alone would hold you back. It turns uncertainty into opportunity, doubt into determination, and hesitation into movement. Those who choose faith over fear don't just break free for themselves. They inspire others to see that their chains are also breakable. When you embrace faith, you step into a new level of clarity and power. You stop giving energy to the things that were quietly limiting you, and you start giving energy to growth, impact, and influence. Faith doesn't just liberate you, it transforms you into someone impossible to ignore. Your life becomes proof that chains were never meant to hold the ones who dare to trust beyond what they can see. In breaking free, you don't just survive. You rise, you lead, and you leave a mark that fear could never have allowed. Number 3, your courage is a beacon to the unseen influences. Courage is often misunderstood as something loud, dramatic, or attention-seeking. In reality, it's usually quiet, subtle, and almost invisible to the untrained eye. When you make decisions in faith, even in the face of fear, you're sending out signals that can't be faked. People in the ordinary world might overlook it, but those who have influence, those who shape industries, ideas, and movements, have a way of noticing patterns that others miss. They notice the consistency of your bravery, the way you act when everyone else hesitates, and the calm determination that doesn't bend under pressure. That kind of courage doesn't ask for recognition. It attracts it effortlessly. When you act boldly, you're doing more than taking a step forward for yourself. You're creating a rhythm, a signal, a pattern that powerful people intuitively respond to. Influence isn't always drawn to loud proclamations or flashy achievements. Often it's drawn to the people who quietly refuse to be paralyzed by fear, the ones who do what must be done, even when the outcome is uncertain. Your courage becomes a kind of magnetic force, pulling attention, respect, and opportunities toward you without you even having to seek them. This isn't about being reckless or arrogant. It's about being aligned with something greater than doubt. Every choice you make in faith over fear builds a reputation that precedes you. It's as if the universe itself and the influential individuals operating within it takes note, recognizing that you're someone who can handle responsibility, risk, and growth. The more you act courageously, the more your presence becomes impossible to ignore, and the more doors start opening in ways you never imagined. True courage doesn't scream for acknowledgement. It whispers in a way that only those who truly understand power can hear. When you move through life with this kind of bravery, you're not just surviving or existing, you're sending a signal that resonates, that draws influence, and that quietly demands recognition. Your courage, like a lighthouse in a storm, doesn't need to shout. It shines, and the right eyes will always see it. Number 4, faith accelerates recognition faster than talent alone. Talent is valuable, but it isn't enough on its own. Many talented people go unnoticed, waiting for their break while the world moves on. The difference between being seen and staying invisible often comes down to one thing: faith. Faith, the willingness to act, to step forward despite fear, to trust in something bigger than yourself, moves faster than skill or talent ever could. Talent without action is like a car parked in neutral. Faith puts it in gear and propels it forward, turning potential into visible results. When you operate from faith, you make decisions that others hesitate to make. You take risks that most avoid, and you persist in situations where doubt would normally stop someone in their tracks. This willingness to act, to trust before seeing, signals to others that you are not just capable, but reliable and committed. People in positions of influence, mentors, leaders, investors, or collaborators, notice those who consistently show up with courage and conviction. They see the pattern of someone who doesn't wait for perfect conditions, but creates momentum through faith. That pattern often draws recognition faster than raw talent ever could. Faith also amplifies your growth. When you act in faith, you learn faster, adapt quicker, and discover solutions that would remain hidden to those paralyzed by fear. Talent grows in isolation, but faith grows through action, experience, and visible impact. This growth doesn't just improve what you can do, it amplifies how others perceive your capability, making your presence impossible to ignore. Ultimately, talent might earn you a foot in the door, but faith pushes you through it and into rooms you never imagined entering. It changes how the world sees you and how opportunities find you. Faith transforms you from someone with potential into someone whose presence demands attention. In a world full of talented individuals waiting for validation, choosing faith over fear makes you stand out. It accelerates recognition, commands respect, and signals to the right people that you are ready for influence and impact. Faith doesn't just open doors, it makes sure the influential notice you walking through them. Number 5, your choices define your spiritual footprint. Every choice you make leaves a mark, whether you see it or not. This is what creates your spiritual footprint, the invisible trail of decisions, actions, and courage that shapes not just your life, but the energy you radiate into the world. Choosing faith over fear is one of the most powerful ways to define that footprint. Every time you step forward despite doubt, you are etching a path that reflects strength, alignment, and purpose. It's not about perfection or always getting it right. It's about consistently choosing the higher road, the path that challenges comfort and demands trust. That consistency leaves a mark that resonates far beyond immediate results. The spiritual footprint isn't visible in spreadsheets or social media likes. It's measured in influence, momentum, and the ripple effects of your courage. Your decisions create energy patterns that others respond to, consciously or unconsciously. People notice your resolve, even if they don't say it out loud. Opportunities seem to appear around those who act with faith. Doors open that were previously invisible, and recognition arrives from unexpected places. All of this is a reflection of the spiritual footprint you're leaving, an imprint of faith-driven action that can't be erased by fear or hesitation. Choosing faith over fear also amplifies your own growth. Every choice in alignment with courage strengthens resilience, sharpens insight, and builds a deeper understanding of yourself and your purpose. Your spiritual footprint becomes a record of lessons learned, battles fought, and risks taken, proof that you are moving intentionally through life rather than drifting. Even more compelling is the idea that your spiritual footprint influences others. Your courage can inspire, guide, or awaken someone else to act beyond fear. Your choices ripple outward, touching lives and shaping destinies in ways you may never see. By consciously choosing faith, you're not just navigating your own path. You're creating a trail that others may follow, and signaling to the universe and influential forces that you are someone who walks boldly in trust. Your choices define you, but more than that, they define the legacy of energy and courage you leave behind. Number 6, fear disguises itself as wisdom. Faith exposes it as weakness. Fear has a sneaky way of masquerading as something respectable. It dresses up in logic, caution, and what looks like careful thinking, convincing you that hesitation is prudence and doubt is wisdom. Most people never question it because it feels safe to follow the script it writes. It whispers that waiting, analyzing, or overthinking is the smart way to avoid mistakes, when in reality, it's just fear wearing a mask. The danger is that many spend their entire lives trapped under this disguise, thinking they are making wise choices, when all they are doing is avoiding the discomfort of acting boldly. Faith, on the other hand, exposes this illusion. Choosing faith over fear shines a light on hesitation, revealing that the so-called wisdom was often just weakness in disguise. Acting in faith requires courage, and courage forces clarity. It forces you to see fear for what it truly is, a barrier, not a guide. When you step forward despite doubt, you recognize the difference between true wisdom, discernment, patience, and insight, and the paralysis that fear has been pretending to justify. The moment you act in faith, the illusion crumbles. Faith also teaches that the right timing, the right opportunities, and the right people respond not to perfection or endless caution, but to courage and consistent action. Fear disguised as wisdom delays you, keeps you small, and forces you to settle for less than you are capable of. Faith pushes you to move, to test, to risk, and to trust that stepping forward is more valuable than waiting indefinitely. Those who choose faith learn a critical truth. Life rewards those who act, not those who hesitate. Fear may have sounded intelligent, but faith proves that action fueled by trust and purpose is infinitely more powerful than inaction justified by doubt. By acting in faith, you stop letting fear masquerade as wisdom, and you start building a life that is bold, noticeable, and impossible to ignore. In the end, faith doesn't just move you forward. It strips away the false security of hesitation and reveals your true strength. Number 7. Faith invites divine alignment. Fear invites delay. Faith has a unique way of moving the world in your favor. When you act with trust, even when the outcome is uncertain, you are not just making a choice. You are aligning yourself with forces beyond the visible, forces that respond to courage, persistence, and conviction. Faith acts like a magnet for opportunities, guidance, and support that would remain invisible to someone trapped in hesitation. It doesn't guarantee an easy path, but it ensures that every step you take carries momentum, purpose, and direction. In contrast, fear slows everything down. It makes you wait for perfect conditions that never arrive, doubt yourself endlessly, and postpone the very breakthroughs you are capable of reaching today. Fear doesn't protect you, it stalls you. When you choose faith over fear, you create movement in your life. Movement attracts attention, resources, and opportunities. It signals readiness to the universe, a willingness to grow, and an openness to being used for a greater purpose. Influential people, unseen circumstances, and pivotal moments respond to this energy. They recognize when someone is willing to act, despite uncertainty, because it shows not only courage, but also alignment with something bigger than themselves. That alignment opens doors that no amount of preparation or planning alone could. Fear, on the other hand, invites stagnation. It convinces you that hesitation is strategic, when in reality, it's a delay tactic disguised as caution. Every time you wait out of fear, you risk missing the exact moments that could change the trajectory of your life. Opportunities rarely wait. The world favors those willing to step into the unknown with faith. Faith also sharpens intuition. As you act with trust, you become more attuned to timing, to people, and to circumstances. You start noticing patterns and recognizing signals that were previously invisible. This awareness accelerates growth and success, while fear keeps you blind to possibilities. Choosing faith is not about reckless action. It's about moving forward intentionally, trusting in the process, and allowing alignment to guide your steps. Fear delays, faith accelerates. Faith doesn't just move you forward, it moves the world around you to meet you where you are, turning action into destiny. Number 8, the powerful notice, subtle courage. Courage doesn't always roar. Most of the time it whispers in quiet actions, in decisions made when no one is watching, and in the persistence to keep moving when fear threatens to stop you. What most people miss is that those who hold real influence, the ones who can open doors, shift circumstances, and change trajectories, have a way of seeing this subtle courage. They notice the people who refuse to be paralyzed by doubt, the ones who act when hesitation would have been easier, and the ones who keep showing up even without applause. It's in these quiet, consistent acts of bravery that true recognition is born. Subtle courage is often invisible to the majority because it doesn't demand attention. It doesn't brag or seek validation. It simply exists as a pattern, an energy that others pick up on, consciously or unconsciously. Influential people, whether leaders, mentors, or decision makers, are attuned to this energy. They notice the rhythm of someone who steps forward despite fear, who acts with integrity, and who demonstrates resilience in ways that cannot be faked. That kind of courage speaks louder than any flashy success, resume, or title. The extraordinary part is that subtle courage often precedes major opportunities. Doors open not to the loudest, most confident person in the room, but to the one whose actions reflect consistency, bravery, and trust in something greater than themselves. Influential people respect and gravitate toward this because it signals reliability, foresight, and a character that can withstand pressure. Courage becomes magnetic when it is quiet yet unwavering. It doesn't have to be dramatic to be noticed. It just has to be genuine. When you act in faith, even in small ways, you are signaling that you are someone who can handle responsibility, risk, and growth. The powerful notice this because it is rare, it is authentic, and it carries weight. Your subtle courage becomes a silent announcement to the world. You are ready, you are capable, and you are someone who cannot be ignored. In a sea of noise and hesitation, it is the quiet bravery that always stands out. Number 9, faith rewires your perception of impossibility. Fear has a way of magnifying obstacles, making challenges appear insurmountable and opportunities seem out of reach. When you operate under fear, the world feels smaller, your vision limited, and your confidence fragile. Everything looks like a roadblock, and every step forward feels risky or unattainable. But faith has the power to completely rewire how you perceive the world. When you choose faith over fear, impossibility begins to shift from a barrier to a challenge waiting to be solved. It changes the lens through which you see life, turning limits into opportunities, doubts into possibilities, and uncertainty into potential. Faith rewires your thinking because it trains your mind to act before certainty arrives. When you act in faith, you begin to trust that solutions, guidance, and support will show up exactly when they are needed. This mindset doesn't ignore reality, it transforms your relationship with it. What once felt impossible now becomes a puzzle, a challenge that you are capable of navigating. Suddenly, your vision expands, your creativity increases, and your ability to persevere grows stronger. Opportunities you never noticed before now come into focus, and solutions that seemed hidden begin to reveal themselves. Choosing faith over fear also strengthens resilience. When you believe that obstacles can be overcome, your response to setbacks changes. Failures no longer define you, they refine you. Every challenge becomes a lesson, every rejection a step closer to alignment, and every fear faced a brick removed from the walls of limitation. Faith trains your mind to see what others miss, to recognize possibilities where doubt insists none exist, and to act boldly even when the path is unclear. The most powerful truth is that the world often responds to perception. Those who act as if impossibility is negotiable create momentum that attracts support, influence, and opportunities. Faith transforms the impossible from an intimidating barrier into a field of potential waiting to be harvested. It doesn't just expand what you can do, it reshapes who you are. Faith doesn't make life easy, but it makes the impossible achievable and positions you to stand out as someone capable of extraordinary breakthroughs. Number 10, your fearlessness becomes a mirror for others. Fear is contagious. Most people go through life following the crowd, allowing hesitation and doubt to dictate their choices. When you choose faith over fear, you break that cycle, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. Your courage becomes a reflection, a silent example that challenges others to confront their own limitations. People notice when someone refuses to let fear control them, even if they don't fully understand why. That quiet defiance acts as a mirror, forcing them to ask, often unconsciously, why they aren't doing the same. Fearlessness doesn't need to be loud to be impactful. It's in the way you persist when others quit, the way you take steps despite uncertainty, and the way you remain calm when chaos surrounds you. Those who witness it can't help but feel the contrast between their hesitation and your boldness. Your actions create tension in the invisible space around them, a challenge that stirs reflection, self-questioning, and sometimes even change. By living in courage, you highlight the limitations that fear imposes on others, showing them that their comfort zones are just invisible prisons. Your fearlessness also spreads quietly through influence. Friends, colleagues, or even strangers observe your consistency in trusting the unknown and acting boldly. Without a single word, you show that faith can override doubt and action can triumph over hesitation. That influence doesn't require recognition. It simply radiates, touching lives in ways that ripple outward unpredictably. Over time, the impact compounds. People begin to adjust their mindset, reconsider their choices, and find themselves inspired to step forward in ways they never imagined. Ultimately, choosing faith over fear isn't just about personal growth. It's about creating an energy that shapes the environment around you. Your courage becomes a benchmark, a mirror reflecting what is possible when fear is no longer the driver. In being fearless, you don't just change your path, you subtly challenge the world to rise to a higher standard. Your life becomes evidence that courage is contagious, and that one person's commitment to faith can awaken the bravery dormant in countless others. Number 11, faith sharpens instinct in ways fear never can. Fear clouds judgment. It makes you overthink, second-guess, and hesitate, turning even the simplest decisions into mountains of doubt. When you act from fear, your instincts become unreliable, because every choice is filtered through worry, what-ifs, and imagined failure. Faith, on the other hand, clears the mind and sharpens intuition. When you operate from trust instead of doubt, your instincts start working at their natural peak. You begin to sense opportunities, read situations, and recognize the right people and the right timing with uncanny clarity. Faith trains the mind and the spirit to notice patterns that fear blinds you to. When you act in faith, you pay attention not just to obstacles, but to possibilities. You become more attuned to subtle signals, quiet hints, and invisible cues that others overlook. The more you trust and act, the more your instincts become a compass, guiding you toward decisions that align with your purpose. It's not guesswork. It's an awakened awareness that comes from courage and consistency, a refined ability to feel what's right and act decisively. Fear keeps you reactive. Faith makes you proactive. It shifts your focus from avoiding mistakes to seizing opportunities. When fear dominates, every choice is hesitant and delayed, your instincts dulled by worry. When faith dominates, your instincts become sharper because your energy isn't wasted on imagined threats. You respond faster, act clearer, and move with confidence that attracts momentum and influence. People who operate in fear often see doors closing. People who act in faith notice doors opening even before they appear. Faith also builds a quiet kind of certainty. It's the deep inner knowing that you are moving correctly, even when the outcome is unclear. That certainty enhances instinct because you're no longer distracted by hesitation or anxiety. Decisions feel natural, aligned, and almost effortless. The more you practice faith, the more your instincts become a reliable partner, navigating challenges and opportunities with precision that fear could never cultivate. Acting from faith doesn't just sharpen your mind, it awakens your natural intuitive power, positioning you to recognize and seize what others cannot even see. Number 12, choosing faith signals readiness to the universe. Faith isn't just an internal state, it's a broadcast, an energy that announces to the world and the unseen forces shaping it that you are prepared for what's next. When you act in faith despite fear, you're signaling that you're no longer waiting for permission, perfect conditions, or guarantees. You are saying, through your actions, that you are ready to step into responsibility, opportunity, and influence. The universe, in its subtle but undeniable way, responds to this signal, aligning circumstances, people, and resources in ways that reward courage and trust. Those who act in fear may prepare endlessly, hesitate endlessly, and wait for signs that never come. Faith, however, is recognition of the moment itself. It declares that you trust the timing and the process, even when uncertainty looms. This kind of commitment doesn't go unnoticed. Influential people and circumstances often respond to faith before it manifests in visible results, because action fueled by belief demonstrates capability, readiness, and alignment with a higher purpose. You are, in essence, sending a message: I am prepared, I can handle this, and I am stepping forward. Faith also cultivates responsiveness. When you act boldly, opportunities that others overlook or dismiss suddenly become visible. Your readiness makes you agile, able to respond quickly and decisively to openings that fear would have ignored. The universe favors movement. It favors those willing to act without guarantee, trusting that guidance, resources, and support will appear at the right time. By consistently choosing faith, you train yourself to recognize and seize these moments, proving that readiness isn't just about preparation, it's about action. Ultimately, faith is more than courage. It is a signal of alignment and preparedness. It communicates to forces both seen and unseen that you are capable of handling influence, responsibility, and opportunity. Choosing faith transforms hesitation into momentum, uncertainty into clarity, and doubt into readiness. When you move with this level of trust, the universe responds in kind, and doors begin to open, not by chance, but by the undeniable signal you have sent through your faith-driven action. Your life becomes a testament to the power of readiness communicated through trust. Number 13, faith converts struggle into credibility. Struggle is inevitable. Every life worth living carries challenges, setbacks, and moments that test your patience and resolve. What separates those who are noticed from those who are overlooked is how they handle those struggles. Faith has the unique power to transform hardship from a source of shame or frustration into a badge of credibility. When you face difficulty with courage and trust, you send a signal that you are not defined by circumstance but by character. Your ability to persist in the face of obstacles makes people take notice, not because you avoided struggle, but because you navigated it with integrity and resilience. Faith changes the way struggle impacts you. Instead of allowing fear to dominate, you lean on trust. Trust in yourself, in your purpose, and in the timing of life. This trust creates consistency. You keep moving, learning, and growing even when the path is unclear. Observers, especially influential ones, recognize this. They see that your results are not merely accidental, but the product of persistence fueled by belief. Struggle becomes proof of capability, resilience, and readiness. Every challenge you overcome silently adds weight to your reputation. Moreover, faith gives struggle meaning. What feels like a setback becomes a lesson, an opportunity, or a stepping stone. Those who act in fear often allow failure to define them. Those who act in faith allow struggle to refine them. This refinement builds credibility because it shows that your achievements are not the result of luck, convenience, or talent alone. They are the result of endurance, determination, and trust. In life and influence, people respect those who have weathered storms and emerged with courage intact. Struggle handled in faith distinguishes you from those who only succeed when conditions are favorable. It proves that you can operate under pressure, make decisions when stakes are high, and maintain focus when fear tempts others to quit. Faith converts every challenge into a silent testimony that you are reliable, capable, and ready. Struggle doesn't weaken you, it strengthens your credibility, making you impossible to ignore and positioning you as someone worthy of trust, opportunity, and influence. Number 14, your bold faith becomes a silent revolution. Faith is often misunderstood as a quiet, private virtue, but when acted upon boldly, it has the power to start a revolution, silent, invisible, and unstoppable. Every time you choose faith over fear, you challenge the invisible rules that keep people small. You disrupt the status quo not with noise or confrontation, but with consistent, fearless action. Your life begins to radiate a truth that others cannot ignore. Courage and trust in the unseen create momentum that fear cannot contain. This kind of faith doesn't seek recognition, yet it naturally reshapes the world around you. Bold faith changes dynamics because it operates outside of expectation. Most people move cautiously, waiting for certainty or validation. When you act despite doubt, your movement signals to others that there is another way to live, a way that doesn't bow to hesitation, fear, or limitation. Influential forces notice this. Powerful people, circumstances, and opportunities respond to those who step forward with unwavering belief. Your faith becomes a pattern, a quiet blueprint, showing that action aligned with trust yields results. It's revolutionary because it defies the ordinary, forces attention, and subtly reorders influence in your favor. Faith also sparks invisible ripples. Others begin to see your courage and are challenged, inspired, or awakened to step beyond their own limitations. Your choices create energy that spreads, influencing people, decisions, and events without a single word. This silent revolution grows over time, Each act of faith compounds, each challenge faced boldly strengthens your impact. What once seemed impossible becomes possible, not through force, but through the consistent demonstration that fear can be overcome. The remarkable truth is that silent revolutions are the most enduring. They do not announce themselves with fanfare, yet they leave permanent marks on lives, communities, and opportunities. Bold faith doesn't just change your path. It redefines the space around you, opening doors for influence, recognition, and destiny. It proves that one person acting with courage and trust can shift the course of events, disrupt patterns of fear, and become a quiet but unstoppable force. Your faith is not just personal. It is transformative, revolutionary, and impossible to ignore. Faith is not just a feeling or a fleeting thought. It is a force that transforms lives, shapes destinies, and signals to the world that you are ready for greatness. Choosing faith over fear is more than a personal victory. It is a statement to the universe, a silent revolution that redefines your path and leaves an indelible mark on those around you. Every act of courage, every decision made in trust, and every step taken despite doubt builds momentum that talent alone cannot achieve. Faith sharpens instinct, converts struggle into credibility, rewires perception, and sends a signal to influential forces that you are prepared, capable, and aligned with your higher purpose. Those who embrace faith become more than survivors of life's challenges. They become beacons. Their courage is a mirror for others, their persistence a magnet for opportunity, and their trust a pattern that cannot be ignored. Faith transforms obstacles into stepping stones, uncertainty into clarity, and fear into a quiet but undeniable strength. It moves silently yet powerfully, creating ripples that influence, inspire, and awaken potential in ways that are both visible and invisible. The people who notice, the doors that open, and the opportunities that arrive are not coincidences. They are responses to a life lived boldly in trust. Your journey of faith is not measured by the absence of fear, but by the courage to act despite it. Every choice you make writes your spiritual footprint, builds your credibility, and establishes a presence that demands attention. By choosing faith over fear, you step into alignment with a life of impact, influence, and undeniable purpose. If this message resonates with you, don't let it stop here. Subscribe to the channel for more insights that awaken courage and purpose in your life. Like this video if it inspired you, share it with someone who needs to hear this truth, and comment below to join the conversation. Your next step of faith might just be the spark that changes everything. Stay awakened, chosen ones.